Let's give a big, warm round of applause for Frank Sinclair of Dream Again, LLC.
Trying to follow these rules this morning. Awesome. Welcome, Colorado Springs. Isn't it awesome to live in such a city as this? Last time I looked, before everything went kind of chaotic on us, Colorado Springs was leading the nation in business environment with a couple of touch points that were incredible. #1 city in America for women entrepreneurs. Woo! #1 city in America for pet-friendly people. #1 city in America for the most healthy humans. Yeah, they must have gave me a waiver on that one. But we have been right on top of, and right now we're leading the nation in unemployment percentages. So you're in Colorado Springs, give yourself a hand for the incredible business environment that we live in here. You know, some years ago, this guy was walking downtown, not very far from here, and there was an old bum living in the streets in Colorado Springs. There was a bush that he slept under every morning and during the day because the sun was out during the day. So this guy would walk through the park and he'd see this old bum every day. And curiosity began to become a place for him as he thought about, why did this guy sleep in the park every day? What was the story? What's the backstory there, right? Why would anyone choose to live that way? You know, I was that bum in Acacia Park years ago. And here's really the truth. The average person wouldn't have spit on me if I'd been on fire. But it only takes one. I want you to hear that message today and how important it is. Every time you dismiss yourself from the opportunity and the responsibility of influence in your sphere, in your city, in your neighborhood, in your home, think about your one. If that one person didn't look beyond the obvious, right? Because here's the obvious: a dirty, tattered, unkempt, unshowered human being laying underneath a bush in a park. That's the obvious. But underneath, there may be something else lurking. And this guy that day was gracious enough to grab me by the hand and take me home with him. And my entire life changed. You know why? Because I dreamed before, but at that point, I got the opportunity to dream again. Yes. And that's really the key for all of our lives. How many times have your dreams been squashed, thrown aside, dismissed? How many times have people told you you can't? If you're still in that company, you need to jettison those people. Right? We need to be told that we can. And I know we can. You have the environment. Everything is set up for us in business to be the very best that we can. Here's the problem with people becoming the very best that they can. They don't know who they are. Very few people have the intuitive sense, or there's been too many pains, it's complicated, so there's a lot of things that go in this self-discovery, right? So when you don't know who you are, you will always listen to what someone else tells you you are. Yeah. Or you ain't. Yeah. And that's what happens in business. Dream Again coaches businesses between concept, I have a wonderful idea, and 5 years in that space, so I'm an entrepreneur coach. Our payment systems are, we use very low entry points, so as the business grows, so does our fee. That's an accountable, involved measure of a coach. I worked for a CEO side by side years ago for 9 years. And he was my mentor. a 19,000 member company. He says, Frank, if you can't measure it, don't do it.
Right.
You have to be able to measure progress and process. And that's what a lot of times coaches get the reputation that they can't measure movement for their clients. And that's not good. You have to be able to measure movement. So that's what I do today. I also do keynote speaking. We do an interpersonal communication work that we call the tolerance scale, because when people have conversations, they have no way to measure how that conversation went. So we put real definition around how your daily interpersonal work goes every day. So you can walk away and say, this is where I need to shift in this type of conversation. This is the type of person I was engaged in with. This is what I heard, and this is what I contributed or didn't contribute to the conversation. So that's what the tolerance scale does. It gives you those definitions that are very, very clear and plain so that you can understand how your daily interpersonal work goes. That's what we call, there's a word for that. It's called growth. Yes. I couldn't see your finger from here. Is that your middle finger? Okay, all right. All right, yes. Question and answers. Let's go. Yes.
So Frank, you've presented before.
Yes.
A lot of people know you in this room. What has changed from last time to now?
Well, a few things have changed. COVID opened the door where now I've onboarded international clients in South Africa, Australia, and several other nations. In addition to that, because we're Zooming all the time, right? Zoom and away, baby, here we go. I resisted Zoom, but Zoom has been an incredible plus for me as I've gone outside of Colorado with my coaching as well. And it's given me opportunity to really onboard some really, really neat clients. In addition, what's happened since I've been up here last, my business or my work has shifted somewhat into a lot of consulting roles. I think several people in here right now that I consult with for various business strategy reasons that we can drive business forward or make hard decisions about whether business is really viable in this day and age or not. Yes?
What are a couple of the biggest challenges that you've helped folks with in the last few months through this COVID?
The challenge that I help people with the most, and that's a very good question, Melanie. I appreciate that. I think, you and I have sat down and other people, I think really, here's the biggest challenge to me for business owners. When business sucks, guess where all of that negative energy goes? Right? Can someone answer that? Where does it go? Internally, doesn't it? Right? Well, I'm horrible. I don't know how to run business. Why would I start to do this in the first place? Who did I think I was anyway? I am not showing up. People are resistant. This business doesn't really need. There's no pain points to really justify this hard work. On and on and on we go. And those are our default responses to negative things that happen, particularly in business. So, to your question specifically, I help people understand that it's just business. It's not personal. Let's measure the point in time you are in your business. Guess what? Most people at that point in time are experiencing the same things you are. It's just business. It's the way it goes. It's difficult. In case you woke up on and just was transported to Colorado Springs this morning. Colorado Springs is one of the most relational business cultures in America. And here's the deal with a relational business culture. It feels like you're backstroking and molasses trying to get traction. Right? Doesn't it? Yeah, almost everyone can relate to that. I see the heads nodding. You go, oh, yeah, I mean, what's the blank? You know what I mean? And I'm working hard and it ain't catching on, with notable exceptions, right? But, In a relational culture, people are very loyal to you. They stay with your business. You go 60 miles up the road, and it's a different culture. What kind of culture is it?
Transactional.
It's a transactional culture. In Denver, all 3 of my kids thrive there. And they do a wonderful job. You can make very quick business decisions, and you can make money very, very quickly, but someone else comes along with a value proposition that just this much better than yours, they'll shift. Because relational value is in there. Is one culture better than the other one? No. It just is. Pick your poison. Sean comes from New York. Everyone does transactional business in New York. It just is. It's not wrong, it's not right, it's not even in between, it just is. So if you want to participate in a relational culture, get ready for slow. Right? But when you connect, it's a whole different ball game at that time. It's awesome. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, since you've gone international, first, what would you see as your biggest challenge for going international? And then what is your biggest reward for going international?
Well, my biggest reward was, for a brief moment, I felt cool. I'm just telling the truth, you know what I mean? Who would have ever thought a cotton-picking, tobacco, sharecropping guy from the South that could barely speak English when he arrived in Colorado, I mean, clear English, would have someone in another country that wants to engage with you? Woo! That was amazing to me. And so, did you say the biggest challenge of it?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? English is, you know, even when it's choppy, in some places in South Africa, English is very choppy. I was fortunate enough to connect with a client that speaks pretty fluently. And the same issues are everywhere, guys. Especially in the personal, forward movement of business, with some exceptions around the culture, and etc., which are very easy to navigate with a little bit of research. And with help, they want you to help them, so they tell you everything, right? So I know, it had been very challenging. Is it okay that it wasn't bad?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, it wasn't bad. And we're sure it's been good.
Tom.
Yeah.
So one thing that I hear you say often to people is get out of your own way. Without giving away your business for free, what key things would you say to people about getting out of their own way?
Thank you, Tanya. You can tell her and I have had conversations. But yeah, getting out of your way, it's just germane to being a human. It really is. We make way too much of these things, you know, and then we'll start comparing our space on earth with other people, which is really the most ridiculous thing on earth since you're only you. What comparison is there? There isn't. So you get in your own way with all the stories that we tell. The stories continue. You know, we don't remember that great story where we rolled down at the amusement park and our hands in the air and our children with us and walking through the mountains and stuff. You know what we remember? Our fights with our wives, our interpersonal bumps, the things that haven't worked. That's what we default to. That's what human psyche. That's what we do, right? So you're always in your own way. That's why you need a guide. All of us are in our way. It isn't mystical, and it isn't magical. It just is. And that's the point of having someone to guide your journey with you. It makes the journey easier to navigate. You know, there's a touch point to my business that I will not engage with a client unless they do this. If you can't be incredibly open and honest about your story, I'm not your guy. Because quite frankly, your story is what navigates you to your purpose. Your story unwraps why you are a human being on this ball, big ball we call Earth. It's the deal. You just didn't get jacked up. You just didn't pull the short straw. Because if you stay in that space, it's always all me. How sad it is for me. I didn't have a chance. The environment didn't help me. My family didn't help me. No one moved me forward. Instead of, yay, I got to be born 15 children. What a great relational start for me. You know what I mean? Even though it was hard. Yay, I was born into segregation. I didn't even know what other races did or the general cultures of other races. So when I was 18 and I went in the Air Force, I got to suddenly explore other people and understand and see new things and gather that. And my curiosity was really fulfilled in that moment. Yay, I was 4 feet 10 when I was a sophomore in high school and no one would date me. But yay, I grew to 5'9" after I was 18 and I went crazy. And I tried to make up for my 4 feet 10 thing. So all of those things, if we look at them in the right context, all of the discouragement bumps, all of the aches, the pains, all those things that happen in our lives along the way are the bumps that we climb on. No one grows from the great things that happen in your life. We always grow from the challenge. You know why? Because we were built for challenge. So when you encourage yourself forward every morning, I get out of the bed every morning. You say, why are you so happy? I said, well, I don't have many years left. I got to crack some happy in here. You know what I mean? I'm an old dude. I don't have the mind space for negative. There you go. I really don't. It takes way too much energy. And you're going to use your energy on something. Either you're going to use it to move you forward, or you're going to use it to let yourself be dragged down. Everyone needs to dream again.
Frank?
Yes?
Okay. You produce the greatest commodity on the planet. It's a long word. It's called encouragement. And you are the chief encourager. We know that. You're going to do something. We know that. Well, those of us know you. But can you speak a little bit about what you're doing with the Facebook page and how that's working?
Yeah, March 15th of last year, my son said, Dad, you're a pretty encouraging guy. You already used the tagline, be encouraged. Why don't you make a Facebook page about encouragement? I said, okay, son, I'll do that. And I'm not very technically sound, but my wife does better. So we launched the Be Encouraged group on March 15th last year. I'm so happy to report today that as of Monday, we have 25,000 encouragers on the Facebook. And here's what's cool too. It is in 103 countries in every state in the Union it's been engaged in. So who knew, right? Who knew? I'm not that smart. I just made a Facebook page, you know, and sent it out to a couple of hundred people that were in my realm of influence, and it just started growing exponentially. Huh?
I said I was one of the first ones.
You were the first ones, yeah. We've had over 6 million engagements on that page.
Wow.
6 million. Yeah, 53,000 posts a week.
Wow.
And you can't buy anything, you can't sell anything, and you can't promote anything. It'll never be monetized because there's only one purpose for that group, and that's to encourage other humans. Thank you. Yes?
You talk about your family a lot. You work with your family in some aspects. How receptive are they to you trying to coach them? Because I know you have to want to.
Well, actually, I don't want to. 2 of my 3 kids are coaches themselves. Our family, the business Elite Roofing that my son founded 12 years ago, has been on Inc. 5000's list of the fastest growing privately owned businesses in America for the last 3 years. Both my daughters have been top 40, under 40 in Denver, 2018 and 2020. So, and the awards keep coming. And am I saying that to brag? Yes, I am. I'm a dad. Of course I'm bragging. You know? Yeah, but as far as coaching, my kids pay $7,500 a month coaching fees for a guy from LA. That's very, very $90,000 a year for coaching. They do. So I don't get involved. I feel like my relationship with them as father and children is best connected, best leveraged by me letting them do what they do and letting me do what I do. And we're curing each other from that standpoint. Yeah. Yes?
I consider Frank a great mentor of mine. He's a sensei to me. And this is a question I've just been wanting to ask you. Based on the climate of the world today and the temperament of the millennials and the generation that's coming up next to them, what advice would you give as far as finding a career, finding your place in life?
Well, I think, you know, I'm a millennial that was born too early. Yeah, baby. I dig millennials. You know why? Because people my age, you can't tell them anything. You know, they're just, you know, I'm not. If you're someone old like me out there, I'm sorry, but our generation just is not teachable. So one of the key points of any coaching enterprise is you have to be teachable, right? So your generation has said this to the world. I saw my family, they sucked. Right? I saw how I was raised, and my kids will say this too, 3 millennials. You know, Dad wasn't there. He may have made a lot of money. We may have been surrounded by a lot of stuff, and etc. But our interpersonal, relational family piece was horrible. I will not repeat that. So there's a pushback against it being about money. You hear it everywhere. I'm not in it for money. I just want to make a difference. I want to leave a legacy. I want to make sure that I matter. Give me a workspace that helps me contribute in a real way every day, right? So what I would say to them is, number one, you got to make money. You know, that may sound crazy, but you don't have any credibility in business if you don't have resources. You just simply don't. You can want to give and dream about giving until hell freezes over. But if you don't have anything to give, how are you going to give? So number one, you have to get a brand for your business. Work hard at doing that if you're in business yourself. Make sure it's a brand that's undergirded with integrity. Make sure you show up all the time. Make sure you don't take it personally when people are rejecting the business model that you have. Just continue to plow forward. Know who you are. Have a why in your life. Something you can circle back to when things get very difficult. Because if you don't have a why, what sustains you? Every time something's bad for me, I say, why am I even doing this? Why am I putting in all this effort and time and thousands of hours of free consulting with people in this community? Number one, because part of my why is this community. And number two is this community is the reason why I exist. Right? So it's so much bigger. So I know you. You have incredible energy. You know, looking at your face right now, you happy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right. All right. So just keep, if you're in business, and don't be ashamed of working for someone else. Here's the myth and mystique of entrepreneurship is people say, oh, I can do my own thing. I can make my own hours. I can control my time. I don't have to answer to anyone. All three are lies. Here's what you just traded. 40 hours of working for someone, the check isn't bouncing, right? You go in, check out, go home. Hey baby, how are you? You know, you traded that for to, here's your baby, where is he? Where is he? 80 hours of working hard, not knowing even if a check is going to come in. That's the reality of entrepreneurship. So if you have this mystical out, you know, you read a book. That all really makes this a comedy corner, doesn't it? You know, and as great as she is, Brianna Brown has told you that show up. Be you. You got all this baggage dragging you back. You don't even know who you are. That's not going to work. And that's no deficit on her. She makes great work. Some people read it before they're ready for it to be a technical part of their lives. And they go out and try to make something happen. Their platform isn't ready for it. It's not personal, right? It really isn't. If you want to be in business, find a guide. You don't have to pay a coach, right, Rick? You don't have to pay a coach, do you? We like what you do. But you don't have to if you got people in your circle that you can be honest with, that'll listen to you, and you're not shooting them a bunch of bull. And you know one thing I really hate? I love my business. Everyone says, I love what I'm doing. As they're on Indeed. I love what I'm doing. You know, looking for other work. Why don't you be honest? That's a great starting point. Not that you're going to go around and complain about what you're doing. But when someone says that, instead of saying, I love what I do when you don't, how about saying, you know what? I am working very hard in this space. And I want to make it the best that I possibly can. And hopefully it'll turn out well for the good of others. Right? You guys rock. Ringo Carr.
Keep that round of applause going for Frank Sinclair, please. So our special question to you, sir, is what can we as a Colorado Springs business community do to help you forward in your conquest with your business?
Here's what you can do for me. I mean this from the bottom of my heart, is that I brag about you guys everywhere. I really do. There's no one that knows me in the state, outside of the state, or in other countries that doesn't get bragged. I don't brag about Colorado Springs business community. So here's what you can do for me. Connect with someone. Stop making your business about you. Connect with someone and help them. Stop making 20 questions, telling people what you think they want to hear. How can I help you in your business today? What if they actually answer that question? Are you ready for that answer? Right? So go out and say, make it about someone else's business. The fallout of that will be that your business will get the overflow. And can I say just one more thing? First year of my business, you know how much money I made? $9,346.17. I don't know where the 17 cents came out. Someone probably killed me. They felt bad for me. You know, or I didn't make much money at all. But I wrote my business plan on a Post-it note. And here's what it said. Frank, you're going to spend your first year making influence. Your first year, we may not be able to measure this, but I want to be the best known, most influential small business guy on the Front Range. That was my business.
Thank you so much. Round of applause for Frank Sinclair. Dream again.